Hello, everybody, and thank you all so much for tuning in to the PHNX Coyotes podcast. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Leave us a 5-star review. I'm Leah here with Craig and PD. As always, we have Shane behind the Mac today, and we are very excited to welcome back a special guest who has many titles, but today I'll go with Arizona Kachinas president and co-founder Lyndsey Fry. Thanks so much for joining us. How are you doing?
I'm great. How are you guys?
Good. Tired. It's been a busy week.
Yeah, I can't imagine why.
Craig, can I be like the president of something? Like that just sounds impressive, doesn't it? Can I be the president of this? Like this area? Like not the show, because I know that's you, but like
you can be the assistant to the president.
I like it.
You could be the Dwight Schrute.
I like it.
Special assistant to the president. I'm gonna go with it.
Oh my goodness. Well, the reason we're all a little tired is because we had a late-ish night last night, but it was a special night. Indeed, as Cody in the chat said, last night was incredible. Lyndsey, you were there as well. For those who don't know, we had a celebration of the Coyotes community last night at Four Peaks. More than 200 people came. We raised over $3,000 for the Arizona Kachinas. Phenomenal event, but I want to get your perspective on what last night was.
Oh, it was awesome. I had no idea what to expect, to be honest. So when I walked in, everything was like tucked in the back. So they were like, oh, it's over there, turn left, turn right. Mm-hmm. And so at first I walk and I see like, I don't know, a couple people gather. And I was like, oh, this is like a cute little gathering. And then I turned the corner and I was like, whoa, all these people are here for this. And that was really special. And then obviously seeing guys like Jason Demers out there, having, some of the longtime diehard fans. I saw a girl who I played mites with a million years ago. And then, of course, seeing some of our very loyal Kachinas families was awesome. So very well done, you guys. And obviously the fact that the money kicked back to the Kachinas and to the girls was a very pleasant, wonderful surprise. So thank you guys for that.
230 plus people last night. That was.
Did you count them? I bet you probably did.
We
couldn't find you when we
were
needed
checking people.
They almost
we
didn't
couldn't
give me a
find them when we
wristband.
needed them. Yeah, that's true.
The guy goes, Max. Yeah, he's like, did you pre-register? And then two other guys are like, dude, give her a wristband.
Max, the ultimate salesman.
Max. Oh my God!
To see what all the fuss was about.
It was great.
Yeah,
it was an emotional night. There's so many stories.
My God, the stories.
You get a sense of everybody's connections in this community, and there's so many people with. I tried to talk to everybody. I know you guys did too, but people who became Coyotes fans, people who have come up through the youth hockey system here, just incredibly tight knit community. I was so impressed with that turnout last night.
Yeah, I agree. And I think for me, like my unexpected time up on stage, thank you guys for that. Just getting dragged up. But that's really the message I was trying to convey is like, that doesn't have to go away. Like that can continue to be strong. And I think that was really my ask of the group that was there is like, it is the diehards that are going to be part of that and making sure that we keep everything going and alive and well. And no matter what happens from the NHL side, I mean, there are plenty of markets around the country that don't have an NHL team and are crushing it in the hockey space. And I think we absolutely can be that.
I just want to get a sense of your personal connection to the Coyotes. We talked about this last night. I think you weren't quite 4 years old when they arrived in the Valley.
Yeah, so they would have come 96. I was born in October of 92. So I think I technically was 3 still. Okay. Just a little tot.
How much did their arrival impact you, impact your life, impact your trajectory, your path?
Oh, it was pivotal. And, maybe not so much initially like the directness of it, like Coyote-specific programs and games and things like that. But I don't think that Chandler would have been built. I mean, at the time it was Polarized Chandler, but you don't build a rink if you don't think there's going to be a market about to boom. And so I think that rink got built. That allowed me to go out. I think I was there the first week it was open because I had been playing roller hockey down the street at what used to be called the Spectrum, and went to one of the public skates, joined their first house leagues, and that was really it. So by the time Chandler got built, I think I was 6, and I think that was a direct tie to the team coming here. But I remember when I still have a picture up in my gym of me, and it's actually really cute. We didn't realize this at first, but it's me, my brother, and then Corey Kavanaugh, who was really tiny, and he works in the Coyotes hockey development department now. And we're all getting stuff signed by Shane Doan when we're like this big in the party room at the Chandler rink. And so those are the things where you take a step back and you're like, wow, that was us when we were 5, 6, 7 years old, and now all 3 of us work together for the NHL team. Like that's pretty powerful. And, I've had obviously amazing memories related to the Coyotes along the way. But I think for me, it was really the springboard of rinks getting built, the excitement around hockey being brought to the Valley because of the NHL team. And it launched my trajectory, and everything good I've ever had in my life has come through this sport. And without that moment, without this team, I don't know what would have happened.
It's just another pathway. It offers a dream, an aspiration, and obviously the one you haven't mentioned yet, you got to play in the Olympics as well, which is kind of a big deal that you left out.
What's funny is my dream when I was, probably until I was about 10, my dream was the same as the boys. I wanted to be Shane Doan and play for the Yotes. And I remember so vividly, I was actually at a camp. I would have been young. I was at a camp when Shaun White was playing for the Mustangs, and I was at a Mustangs camp at the old Coliseum. And another full circle moment, because I used to love him. I had a poster of him in my room, and now I work with him, and he's just Shaun. But I remember saying at that camp as a little girl, like, well, I want to be the first girl in the NHL. Well, and of course, one of them like quickly corrects me, and they're like, well, there already was a goalie who was the first. And I was like, ugh. And I've told Manon Rayon this story, so she knows. But in my head, my little like 8-year-old self, I was like, well, yeah, that's a goalie. It's different.
I got that all the time growing up. Yeah, but you're the goalie.
Like, that doesn't count. But yeah, so it wasn't actually until the Olympics in 2002, when it was in Salt Lake, ironically enough, that I understood what the Olympics were, and that women's hockey was a thing in the Olympics, and that kind of changed that dream.
Well, obviously you've been involved with youth hockey literally yourself as a kid, and now with the Kachinas. And you mentioned already that with the Coyotes coming, that's what got rinks built, got a lot of kids into hockey. But can you kind of explain just what having the Coyotes here all these years has meant and done for youth hockey in this state?
Oh, it's huge. I think there's different iterations of it. I think it really, really exploded once the NHL launched the Industry Growth Fund. And for people who don't know what that is, it's essentially a joint fund between the NHL and the NHLPA. And the business origin of that was the NHL recognized that they're going to fall behind the other major sports if they don't start developing fans. And the best way to do that is create more hockey players. You create more hockey players, you get the parent, you get the sibling, you get the parent, or you get the kid. All of them now are wanting to go to games and wanting to experience it, and they're part of that community. And so I think the big thing from that was it allowed a lot more programming to be launched. And our friend Matt Shott was pretty much the leader. Once that came out, he was the one that spearheaded a lot of that programming and helped get it up. But we're talking things like learn to play, adult learn to play, continue to play, school PE curriculum. I mean, really every foundational touch point that we have to get kids interested in hockey and trying hockey. That's what the Coyotes have provided over the last decade and beyond.
2013, is that when the IGA started? Is it somewhere around there?
IGF.
IGF's right.
I'd have to go back and look. That sounds about right.
Okay.
And there have been different iterations of it. And one of the beneficiaries of that has been the Kachinas program. I mean, there's a reason we've been able to accelerate to where we're at in 5 years versus 10. And a lot of it had to do with that support. So it's done a monstrous amount. And, you know, I certainly hope that can continue. But yeah, it's been awesome to see the growth of hockey in Arizona.
One of the things you already talked about is how this affected, having an NHL team here affected you personally and your path to where you are today. Is there a fear, concern that those role models are now gone in this community? Or is the base strong enough to support it and continue on from where we are now?
You know, it's so funny. I was talking to the GM of the Ice Dens, or the president of the Ice Dens last night, and she and I were just saying it's just a different story that you tell now. It's now, in a way, I'm kind of excited to tell stories that have otherwise maybe been overlooked because it has been so focused on the players, on what they're doing, what's going on with the team. Now we can tell the stories of, you know, how did Matthew Knies get where he is? I think Austin's story has been told quite a bit, but like there's so many other kids that are coming out of the valley, so many amazing people that are working their tails off in the rinks every single day with the different programs, building up hockey in Arizona. And now I think those are what we can tell, and those are the new heroes that we can bring to these kids to be able to look up to. But we have a pretty strong alumni base here, as you guys know. A lot of people like to come and retire in the desert. So I imagine the alumni, the NHL alumni core will get a lot more involved and can be that face. But yeah, is it going to be different? Probably. But I don't think that it's going to be all negative. I think there will still be plenty of people for these kids to look up to.
When you talk about the financial commitment and that the Coyotes have had over the years, I know this is all happening very quickly and things are changing almost daily. Do you have a sense of what their commitment is going to be in the very near future from the Coyotes standpoint?
I don't. I mean, we're talking about it internally, trying to figure out exactly what we're going to be able to do. From what I know, there's absolutely the goal of continuing many of the programs. Are we going to be able to continue all of the programs? Maybe not. And I think protecting some of the key ones will be huge. But I also think there's a lot of question marks around how do we what's the relationship going to be like with the NHL? I've had some conversations with the league, and it's very unclear, you know, as much as I think everybody, the league, ownership, everybody wants the Coyotes back here eventually and wants the franchise reactivated. I think the question becomes, like, right now they've got to invest in a whole new hockey community up north. So what happens here? And there's just a lot of question marks around that right now, and I think everybody's in the same boat trying to figure out what it's going to look like.
Okay, so you don't know 100% certain that those funds from the IGF are going away?
I don't know 100%.
Okay.
I would not feel comfortable saying that on camera.
Yeah.
I have a strong feeling that it will be drastically different. How about that? Okay. Is that a good political answer?
It's like this situation is unprecedented, as we know. It's not a relocation. It's not an expansion, and this team is still here, just inactive. So I don't know how the league manages that. I wonder if they've even thought about that deep into the process, right?
Yeah, I'm sure I'm sure they're thinking about it. The challenge, of course, is you have to think about how that fund is built. So it's a joint venture between the NHL, which means all the different owners. So I think that's where it gets a little tricky, is if I'm an owner, like, where do we want funds to be invested? Is it in an inactive market or not? And I don't know those answers.
Yeah. Well, still so much to get to, including some potential solutions to all of this. But first things first, once again, we just want to thank everybody who came out last night. Thank you to Four Peaks for hosting us. We have a photo I took this from the stage. You can really see the depth of the fans. Oh, again, over 200 people in attendance, and there were so many more who couldn't attend because they were down in Tucson, or people who were out of state
or working. Like a lot of former players wanted to come, but they work for teams or for the league.
Yeah, absolutely. And obviously this is on such short notice, but it really just shows the strength of the community. And we want to continue with this community, with or without the Coyotes here. So become a diehard. It sounds a little strange to say, but we want to welcome you into our hockey community. Our Discord stays active. It's a great place to come together as fans. So become a diehard today. Many perks of doing so. And if you're just, a Valley sports fan in general, you'll absolutely get your money's worth when you become a diehard. Get a free shirt or hat from the locker, 20% off events, 20% off merchandise as well. So we want you to become a diehard. The NFL draft is today. That's a sold out event, by the way. Diehards did get 20% off on that. It's going to be a blast. We're going to be out at Gila River. But the best part about the NFL draft, especially if you don't really care that much, is you can bet on the order that players get selected or who's going to go first, or you can do like exact orders. It's really cool. You could do that over at BetMGM. They have the odds right now. Shane, I'm putting you on the spot. Do you have any bets? Oh, he doesn't have a mic. Okay. But will you give me a thumbs up if you're betting on the NFL draft? Yeah, thumbs up.
That is Diefenbach betting on something.
What I need to know from
there's
Shane,
my surprise face.
What I need to know from you, Shane, is there a bet? I know you can't answer this, but is there a bet that whether the Bears will ruin Caleb Williams like they've ruined every other quarterback in their history? Okay.
Pac-12 players first round over.
Pac-12 players first round over is what Shane said. So if you want to bet any of these things, make sure you do it over at BetMGM. Sign up for BetMGM. Use the bonus code PHNX. Place your first BetMGM Sportsbook wager through the BetMGM Sportsbook mobile app for at least $10, and you'll receive up to $1,500 in bonus bets if the bet loses. Check out the show notes for full details. And now listen to Shane talk about the disclaimer.
Bonus bets expire in 7 days. One new customer offer only. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Available in the U.S. Call 877-8-HOPE-NY 467-369 New York. Call 1-800-327-5050 Massachusetts. 21 plus only. Please gamble responsibly. Call 1-800-NEXT-STEP Arizona. 1-800-BETS-OFF Iowa. 1-800-981-0023 Puerto Rico. First bet offer for new customers only. Subject to eligibility requirements. Bonus bets are non-withdrawable. In partnership with Kansas Crossing Casino and Hotel. See BetMGM.com for terms. U.S. promotional offers not available in New York, Nevada, North Carolina, Ontario, or Puerto Rico.
And I've been saying it a lot lately. After an exhausting night like last night, I definitely need a staycation. And there is no better place than Gila River Resorts and Casinos, especially at Wild Horse Pass, where all of the draft festivities are taking place today with the PHNX crew, including Bo and Johnny, and many, many more, like Jacob's going, Shane's going. Everyone will be there. Say hi to them. If I were going, I would probably hang out at the pool. I think today would be a really good pool day with a marg.
That's how you cover the draft.
Yeah, I'd cover the draft at the pool and just relax. I need that kind of relaxing day at Gila River because at Gila River, you do you. And the other thing, not just you want to take a Vegas vacation, just take one here. Besides all the table games and slot machines and blackjack tables, those are all great, but it's the theater. And I've just been looking at what's coming up next month at Gila River Resorts and Casinos, and I'm torn between the live performance of one of the bands I saw when I was younger, 38 Special, is coming to Wild Horse Pass Casinos Theater, and maybe Shane can help me with the pronunciation of this, it's Sikik is doing an Oasis pool party with electric jams featuring some of your favorite DJs from the Bay Area, and local Valley artists will be at the Electric Music at the Pool Festival. I think I would fit in. Just saying. But make sure you stop by Gila River Resorts and Casinos because you truly do you at Gila River Resorts and Casinos. Visit playatgila.com for much more details.
All right, Lyndsey, we kind of buried the lead here. This is very sly of us to keep people waiting. But you're here to break some news, and you'll be able to read about this at gophnx.com. After the show is over, we'll have a story up. But I'll just give you the mic at this point because you have a really cool announcement to make.
Yeah. Well, thank you guys. It was important that we got to do this on your guys' show. I know it's going to change a little bit after this week, but I wanted to make sure that we talked about the exciting things coming down the pipeline for hockey here in the desert. So we are really excited to be launching the Matt Shott Arizona Hockey Legacy Foundation. Mm-hmm. And I was telling Craig last night, it's a bit of a wordy title, but when you break it down, every single word is just so important to what we're trying to do. So essentially, this is going to be designed to be a safeguard for the development of hockey here in Arizona. I think there's a lot of people that are concerned about, well, we're not going to have NHL hockey here, so what happens next? And I've been thinking about this for months. I think we would have been a little further along as far as where we're at with the foundation if the announcement hadn't been as much of a surprise as it was. But yeah. I'm an entrepreneur. I tell people, progress over perfection, and we are steamrolling through this thing. So we've got some really, really awesome people involved in building this. And for me, it's all about the team. It's all about making sure that we've got the right people involved so that we can springboard bringing in the financial commitment that we're going to need to do this. So ultimately, the way it's going to work, it'll have two functions down the road. One is going to be a granting vehicle. So if the IGF goes away, that doesn't mean that grant money in the state of Arizona is going to go away. Programming is going to be the other avenue that we're going to be able to make an impact. So let's say that, a certain program does have to get cut because there's less IGF funding. Well, guess what? The foundation will be able to help operate some of that programming and help support. So right now, as far as what all of that is going to look like, that's where I think we have to wait and see a little bit as this unfolds, what's going to happen with some of the Coyotes programming, like Learn to Play. And I tell people, I go, look, this is not meant to compete with the rinks, to compete with the Coyotes hockey development department. This is meant to purely be a supplement and a safeguard so that should anything change, we're not being reactive, we're being proactive. We've got the safety net, we've got the support. Our long-term goal is quite lofty, but over the next 5 to 10 years, we want to raise $10 million so that it can essentially serve as an endowment that would kick back about $500,000 to pump back into the hockey community, either through grants or through programming.
Which is about the amount you get from the IGF, right?
Yes, it's comparable to what the IGF kicks in right now.
You mentioned how quickly this came about with the Coyotes sale and relocation. When did you start working on this, and how did you bring it together?
I have been, I'm the type of person that in chaos, I just try to take action and control what I can control. So, that's why a lot of people right after the announcement was made were like, oh my gosh, the Kachinas are going to fold. Right. I'm like, guys, the Kachinas are not going to fold. Like, we have been working for literally like 6 months, not even knowing whether or not this announcement was going to take place, to just make sure that we had a backup plan for the Kachinas, which we do, and we are initiating right now. All is in motion, and everything is going to be fine with the Kachinas. So for me, I started really thinking about Matt and everything that he built, and all of the kids that, it's not just about the girls, it's about everybody. I mean, I have a brother who played, and I started thinking through, I would say maybe 2.5, 3 months ago, like, what could we do to ensure that those programs are protected, that the rinks are protected? Because at the end of the day, I mean, you lose that foundation. Maybe the rinks don't start to have challenges for a year, 2 years, 3 years, but eventually, like, I think everybody's going to feel it, every program, every rink, and we need to make sure that doesn't happen. So I started talking to people about this idea, I would say about 3 months ago. Didn't necessarily formalize it until everything got announced, but I moved quickly, and so we are incorporated. We're going to launch a community crowdfunding campaign in early May, and we're going to be getting some big dollar donations once we get our 501c3 status all locked in with the IRS, which this is getting too technical, but there's a couple different ways that you can do that. You can either get a financial sponsor, or you can just wait for the IRS. I don't like waiting, so we'll
for the IRS. I mean,
I know it's weird, right? They're so quick.
Fast-acting body. Yeah.
But yeah, so hopefully we'll be able to really bring in those 5, 6, hopefully 7-figure donations sooner rather than later. But this is something that when I approach people and some of the names, just to give you an idea, that are going to be going out in the press release, like Jason Demers, who was there last night. Incredibly passionate guy. This is his home. This is where he wants to be. He's going to be involved with this. Greg Adams, another NHL legend, is going to be part
Arizona
of this.
University, baby.
That's right, NAU. We're going to have Darcy Hordichuk, NHL alumni, also involved with the Phoenix Thunderbirds. So we're going to see, what connections we can find there. Carly Accardo is going to be involved, which she's super excited. Michael Grabner, another NHL player.
Fastest Coyote ever.
Yeah, literally. Most shorthanded goals, I think. And then we'll also have Shelly Shott, who's Matt's mom, and then Trevor Shott, who I think is tuned in here today. So Trey, if you're listening. But yeah, so we're getting a lot of really awesome people together. there are going to be some additional people that I think come summertime we will be getting involved. But when I approach all these people, I say, look, I'm not coming to you with my hands out asking for money. That's not what this is right now. Right now, I want to build the most incredible team that we can possibly build to ensure that this is going to get done. This is not Lyndsey Fry coming in saying, this is how we're going to do things, like take it or leave it. It's, I need you and you and you and everybody that's got something to give to bring this to life with me, and let's make it something that is absolutely incredible and is going to last for a lifetime.
I want to show everybody the logo for this. And I want you to explain the design behind this logo and what or exactly we're looking at.
Well, I think it really captures everything that's in the name. So obviously you've got the Arizona element there with the mountain and the cactus with the little hockey stick. You've got the Arizona border, and then I think any diehard Coyote fan will recognize this silhouette. So that's actually from the picture of Matt when if you look real closely at his hand, it looks a little funny because that's the puck he's holding to go and drop the puck at his Hockey Fights Cancer night at Gila River Arena several years ago. And this is a picture that I think it just embodies everything that Matt Shott was. This night was so special for him, not because he was battling cancer. This night was so special for him because he was so used to being on the other side, where he was the one hyping everybody out, where he was the one that was building the program, sacrificing his time, his energy, everything to help get kids playing hockey. And for him to have one night where it was all about him and to see how many people supporting him came out of the woodwork, I mean, it was the best night of his life. He was so happy. And I think it finally made him realize that it's all worth it. Every ounce of energy he poured into growing the hockey community was all worth it. And that was just that night. I mean, I could go on about him being in hospice, and it was like a parade of people coming through.
We talked about Matt Shott, and it's a friend of all of ours here. How important was it for you personally that he kind of becomes the figure that leads this forward?
Oh gosh, I mean, from a personal standpoint, it's everything. Like, I was telling Craig last night, you know, there's two things that really have motivated me to want to do this. One is, I said it earlier, everything good I've ever had has come through this sport. And I refuse to not ensure that the next generation of kids have that opportunity. Like, it cannot happen. And then the second is, it's amazing if you look at right around when Matt started working with the Coyotes, if you look at the growth trajectory, it's wild. Now, some of that I think has to do with IGF funding coming at the same time, but you guys all know Matt. Like,
his 80
he
hour
was
weeks.
oh my God. I mean, Matt was my last text at night, my first text in the morning, sometimes much to the chagrin of my wife, but it was, I mean, his brain just never stopped. He never stopped working on things for the kids, but trying to build programs. It was always about somebody else. And so for me, the other piece of this is protecting what he built. And so I think the Coyotes will absolutely continue on with some of the programming, but why not all? And if this entity needs to supplement to ensure that all of his programming can stay alive and be strong, then let's do it.
Let's talk a little. Let's get granular here with the impact of this foundation in practical terms on a day-to-day basis, whether it's at the rinks, whether it's on ball hockey courts, or whether it's in schools. What is this going to help you keep alive, or maybe even augment?
Yeah, so right now, like I said, it's a little tough to tell because we're trying to sort out exactly what is going to continue. A lot has to be evaluated there because figuring out, you know, what the IGF funding is going to look like, what the league support's going to look like. I think that's going to determine how the hockey development department's going to run for the Coyotes. And I've been in close conversations with those guys. You know, we've talked to the foundation for the Coyotes. Like, this is not, like I said, this is not meant to be a clash or anything like that. This is meant to be a support system. So it's tough to say exactly which programming, but what I will say is, let's say in a perfect world, the Coyotes continue to do everything that they're currently doing. Awesome.
Yeah.
Now this becomes a lot more focused as a granting operation than a programming operation. And I can promise you that you look across all of the rinks, all of the programs, everybody could use some support to continue to develop what they're trying to do. And what my fear is, and having had some conversations with the different ranks and the different programs, in crisis, two things happen. One, it fractures people. Two, it unites people. I want to make sure that it's the latter. And that's a big reason why I want to have this umbrella to where we're getting the rinks, the programs, everybody working in tandem. And that's a very, very difficult thing to accomplish. But what I don't want to have happen, because for better, for worse, in some of the rinks and the programs' minds, like the Coyotes have been able to be that neutral party. They've been the ones that have been able to come in and say, look, we're not offering learn to play to one rink. We're offering it to all. This is going to benefit all of you. And that's what I want this to continue to be. I don't want it to be one rink is trying to run this type of program, this rink's running the same one, we're competing against each other. Like, that was what was so beautiful and is so beautiful about what the Coyotes do, is it is true impact across the board. And I want to make sure that we continue to drive that unity during what's a really, uncertain time right now for everybody's program and business.
Still a few more things to get to, but first we've talked about how stressful it's been here over the last few weeks, and sometimes there's some things out there to help ease that stress for us here at PHNX. It's OGs, whether it's help getting to sleep, just relaxing and unwinding, or whatever else it is that you're looking for. OGs has something for everyone, whether it's indica, sativa, sleep edition, microdose, happy balance, all in delicious flavors, locally made here in Arizona. To learn more about OG's gummies and where you can find them, head on over to ogsbrands.com. Must be 21 or older to enjoy responsibly.
And then go to America's thirst stop, snack stop, and my favorite gas stop. I just hit 150 miles on my drive down here, remaining in my tank, so it will be time to fill up on my way home, because we have a benchmark here, Lyndsey, and if it's 100 miles. If your tank gets to 100 miles till empty, time to swerve into Circle K and fill up. Not 30, not 10. And Danielle was here, got it down to 4. Shelby, we're talking about Shelby. I met Shelby last night, by the way, and she said she had a full tank of gas. So I was pretty impressed with Shelby. So stop by Circle K. And if you are going to fill up at Circle K, make sure you become part of their free membership program, the Inner Circle, because you save 25 cents per gallon on your first 5 fill-ups and 3 cents per gallon on every single gallon after that. Plus, you get every 6 item free on a selection of their products like pizza, coffee, and their ice-cold fountain drinks. Join the Inner Circle for free by downloading the Circle K app today. Terms and conditions apply at participating locations. Visit CircleK.com for details.
Lyndsey, we've been talking about Matty a lot, and he's one of the first people that I thought about when all of this went down. What do you think he'd make? He was such a positive soul the whole time. What do you think he would make of this whole Coyotes saga and the community stepping forward to fill the breach?
Oh gosh, I mean, he'd be heartbroken about the team leaving. There's no question about that, and I think we all are. It's tough, but I hope that he would be able to take a step back and see the community rallying around each other and acknowledge the impact that he had on that. Mm-hmm. And I think he would just be so incredibly proud. Matt didn't have a girlfriend by his side when he passed away. He really... he used to tell me all the time, he goes, I'm fine with it because the hockey community is my family. Like, these are the people that I want to be around, going to dinners with, meeting up with, spending my time with. So I think it would be like seeing his family come together to support one another. And what better feeling is there than that?
This step forward that you want to take, does it happen without Matt? Is any of what you're talking about possible without Matt?
Oh, gosh. I mean, I don't think a lot of the programs we're trying to conserve would be around without him. But no, I don't think so. I think I look at what the hockey community is now, and I think I probably had, next to his brother and his mom, probably the closest view to what Matt Shott really did for this community and what he really sacrificed. And when you've seen that, it's inspiring. And I think now that he's no longer here, I take it very personally, and that has really been focused on the Kachinas and the girls program that he and I built together the last few years. But that was the thing that was so powerful about Matt. Like, while the Kachinas was absolutely his baby, he had 20 more that he had created. So I want to make sure that for his sake, I help protect that, and I think a lot of other people want to be on board with that. And that's why it's like, look, I'm still running the Kachinas. Like, that is not going to change. That takes a lot of work, a lot of effort, which is why this is not going to be just like Lyndsey on an island running this foundation. It's going to be, let's get lots of people and make sure that we do this the right way. Mm-hmm. We hire the right people, and we really let it take care of itself. But I think, to your point, Craig, for me, the reason I'm leading this and bringing this all together is because I need to protect what Matt built.
It's funny because when you saw Matt, like, I worked with Matt prior to you coming on too, and Matt, and it's hard. His job was hard, and he did not get the support always from the franchise and the team and the Coyotes, because their focus was on the team and winning and buildings and those things. And sometimes Matt's department took a hit, whether it be financial or attention to resources. But Matt never showed that. And I know you know it from the inside. Some people get frustrated when things aren't going their way, and frustrations, oh, poor me, this. Not once. And
maybe not to you, Petey.
Yeah, maybe it did. But I tell you what, you're right. This isn't what it is today without the effort. Because I've seen other people in that position, and it was daunting, and it was physically and emotionally terrifying.
Yeah.
And he got through all that.
Matty used to always say, like, he's like, I would much rather have, if they're going to invest money in my department, I would much rather not take a raise if I can get another person. Because I think for him, it was always about, like, it's the same concept with what we're trying to do with Foundation. It's like, I want to make the team big because the impact is going to be exponential if we do that and we do it right. But to your point, if he didn't get additional team members, what did he do? He said, okay, I'll be at Peoria at 4, I'll be at Mesa at 5, I'll be at Scottsdale at 6, and I'll be at the state board meeting at 6:30.
And when you talk about this building, and we've seen this in the hockey community here in Arizona for years, because it does become rink versus rink, or it's money. Like, let's face it, it's competing for a certain finite amount of dollars. And I implore you, and I'm hearing that message, that it's the right people, that it's not about the sum of its parts, it's about the whole. And I think that that's the only way this is going to work in the state of Arizona. So I think this is an incredibly important foundation, that you're not doing it piecemeal by the arenas, you're doing it as an umbrella. And I'm so excited, and we're here to help as much as we can, whenever we can, to help get the message out as best we can for you.
I appreciate it. And like I told Craig, this is I want to just feed you guys content. Like, let's keep this train rolling. It's not that we're stopping the hockey stories. Right. We are just refocusing the hockey stories.
I have a couple questions. First of all, one of the concerns when everything with the Coyotes leaving was what's going to happen to Skatin for Leighton, and I'm not sure if you have any answers.
I sure do.
Okay, then great.
Skatin for Leighton's not going anywhere. Skatin for Leighton, for those of you who know, like, that was. Well, I mean, the initial one was like purely, I think I was sitting in my driveway in my car. I'm like, what's something crazy I can do today? Because I just am always looking for something. And I remember calling Matt saying, hey, I think I want to do this. I don't think he knew how to respond. He's like, okay. Sounds good. And so I think that the whole point is to raise money for the girls hockey scholarships and girls hockey financial assistance. So for me, that's like critical to growing the game on the girls side, which is my whole shtick. So we will continue to run Skatin for Leighton, even if that means, as the Kachinas, we contract some of the Coyotes, part-time staff to come out and help, because they have been pretty involved in that over the last few years. Right. But we will make sure that event rolls on. And that was one of the first things. I mean, when all the news started coming out, Carly texted me and she was like, I am so sad. And I go, Carly, I promise you that Skatin for Leighton is not going anywhere and Little Leighton's is not going anywhere. And she was like, oh my gosh, that's the biggest relief. That was my biggest fear. I'm like, no freaking way are those going away.
Even if you're not going to skate across the valley anymore. You learn your
I don't know, man. It's been a few years. I
Pure
think my ankles finally
You've
recovered.
forgotten
So
what it
let's
was
go.
Craig and I would be in the car with the windows rolled down. Yeah, good job, Lyndsey.
That's what
Turn the air
Savage did. That's what Savage did when he got tired. He quit at about, I think, mile 50, which I was super impressed by because I know he did not train.
Oh
but then he was in the truck playing Man, I Feel Like a Woman while we're on Bell Road, like blasting it next to me, which was great.
How many miles did you actually skate?
106.
There it is.
That's insanity. That's insanity.
Let's call it a detour at some point, Leighton.
Oh, yeah. Well, Bell Road was not kind to me. So we ended up going up a street and then down a street where it was like mass trash pickup week. You could tell there was a bunch of like stuff out in people's yards, a lot of like beat up couches, and I've never wanted to sit in a questionable couch more than I did in that moment.
Well, I hope we see the continued support from some of the players that really spearheaded this, like a Lawson Krause who made a comment yesterday up in Salt Lake. What's have fun, skate hard, and it just so it's carried over to that community. And I want to see those players, even if they can't partake in it because of logistics, but they can still support that cause. I hope so.
Well, I will be making my personal calls at some point. But I don't know what the rules are going to be around that for the players. I don't know what the restrictions are, but I know that as excited as I think the players are about, maybe a fresh start, or they got a really warm welcome in Salt Lake, which is awesome. I'm so happy for them in that respect. But a lot of them, like their passion was here, their roots were here, their houses were here, and the relationships that they've built were here. And so I have a feeling some of them will absolutely try to stay involved, whether that's them directly through their wives. Like we'll find ways.
One other question I want to ask is for everybody listening, watching, this community, us, what can we do to help support either this foundation or youth hockey in Arizona? Yeah,
a great question. So I think first and foremost, like I said, early May, which is not that far away, we're going to be launching our crowdfunding campaign. And if you want to donate $1, $20, $200, doesn't matter. For some of those smaller level donations, we're going to say $1,000 or less. We'll have that avenue for people to be able to do. The other way that people can get involved, if you are someone who has, relationships with business leaders, with people who have major fundraising experience, like anyone who you think would be an asset to the board for the foundation, we absolutely want to hear from people. And when we launch that crowdfunding campaign on the site, we'll have a section where people can go and fill out their information if they want to get involved, or if they have somebody that they think they would recommend or want to recommend to be a part of this because of what they bring to the table. So those will be the short terms. Once we get up and running with and get an understanding of what the programming aspect is going to look like alongside the Coyotes, then I think we'll have a better idea of what we're going to need from a part-time staffing standpoint, even from a full-time staffing. I mean, this is something that's going to be run like a legitimate nonprofit. We will have, whether it's an executive director or whatever we're going to call it, but we will have some hired staff to make sure that things are running smoothly.
Lyndsey Fry, thank you so much for your tireless efforts to help the youth hockey game in Arizona continue to grow and thrive. And thank you for joining our show today and laying this out so eloquently. We really appreciate your time.
And you always have a home here too.
Yeah,
hey,
sure.
You have a home on the Kachinas 16U bench,
I know.
Petey.
I know.
Oh,
Working on
man.
that.
One last thing before we go, Mike sent a super chat. The Olympics, not a big deal.
Thanks, Mike.
Oh, Mike last
my
night.
gosh,
That was 10 years ago now, guys. That's
I'd
crazy.
ride that wave as
Yeah.
long.
I most
there's no
certain-
expiration
if
date.
Mike Ruzioni can, I can too.
Exactly. I like that. Wait, how long ago was it when the three of us competed in the Olympics?
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, that
it's
never
been a
happened.
hot minute.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Well, this has been incredible. More information coming out on the foundation. Look at gophnx.com for a story from Craig, all this is going to get released. So follow along, and we'll do everything we can to help promote and help support this, because this is really important and means a lot to us. So anything that we can do to help support it, we will absolutely do it. But thank you so much for coming in, for your time, for coming last night. Just so great to hear from you as always. And you and Matt have done so much for hockey in Arizona, and we can't thank you enough.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for sharing the story, and we'll have plenty more. Don't you worry.
All right. Well, we will be live again tomorrow at 11 a.m. And if you weren't at the event last night, weren't able to make it, the speeches are up on our YouTube channel right now in the Arizona Coyotes playlist. So you can check that out. Be sure to subscribe to the PHNX Sports YouTube channel. You can follow us on Twitter at @SPetersHockey, at Leah Merrill, at Lyndsey_Fry_18. There we go. At Craig S. Morgan, at Shane Deef. You can follow the show at PHNX_Coyotes. Hit the like button on this video, everyone. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
We all silly like the mayor.